Aloha, cupcakes. I've been off doing other things for a little bit, but I wanted to get back to this one, okay? A lot of you keep asking me the differences between the King 13 and the Alien DeathHawk. So, today, we have an Alien DeathHawk and we have a King 13. Both of these are going to be 5.0s, and we're going to put them head to head. Ready for this? Let's go.
All right, so let's get these things out of the tubes. They are pretty fluffy right out of the tube, so I don't have a whole lot to do. I am going to give them a quick rinse, and I am going to trim them because it looks like I have like one or two hairs, and double check, make sure both 5.0s, because I trust me. So here, I'm going to go off camera for a sec. We're going to clean these up, get them ready to go, and then we will just go for it. Interestingly enough, super fluffy. Seriously, softest brushes ever, I think. Probably. Maybe not. I could be totally wrong about that. Anyhow, I will be right back. Let's go get these a bath. So I'm going to start with the... Oh, I'm back. Anyhow, we're going to start with the Alien DeathHawk because it's a little more rigid and it's going to do straight lines just a tad bit better. Not better, but just more comfortably for when we start this design for me. I think they both do straight lines really, really well. It's just, I think this one's a lot more tuned for it, I think. And when I say that it's a lot, I mean, like compared to each other, it's a lot more tuned to it, but I think that they're both really good for it. So, see that? Sharp, pointy. That's what we want. Okay. I'm going to lay in a little bit heavy when I'm doing this one because I'm realizing that this is not an actual palette board. This is a piece of paper. So I'm going to start with a couple straight lines. We're just going to pull these. I'm not going to, like, I do have a design kind of here that's just some guidelines for me to play off of. And that's really so that for once I will do something that's like got actual symmetry. Now you might notice it looks like I'm moving kind of quickly. I sped this video up. Just, you're welcome. This thing would have been like 45 minutes long if I didn't. So, yeah, I'm not actually moving that fast. I mean, unless that's what you want to think, then yeah, I'm the fastest pinstriper ever, and I just whip these things out, and it's amazing. But it's not the case. So anyhow, this thing, for pulling these straight lines and pulling some really sharp turns in the straight line type of designs, I'm riding on the tip of this thing, and it is pulling some just immaculate lines. I mean, they're good and thick and dense, and I'm not having to go over anything again. Now, for reference, I am using Ronin Zerothane. I did put both hardener and reducer in it because I honestly thought I was going to be doing this on a panel, and it was only when I hit record that I realized this was paper. So, yeah, I know. Having special moments, okay? So for these curves, now one thing I'm pulling backwards, that's just because it's a little more comfortable for me when I'm doing a stationary design and I'm not moving around, but that little sharp point, I like that one. That's why I pointed it out. Anyway, the reason that I'm doing this is because it's, one, better for the camera, for the overhead shot especially, because it keeps my hand kind of out of the way, so you can kind of see what I'm doing. And two, it's just comfortable. See, that's the line. That's the one I was talking about. I liked it. Just the one. The rest of them, not so much. That one, yes. Anyhow, that's all. I mean, I do have a tendency to paint like that just because it's more comfortable for me. Just because it is. Don't break your wrist. That's the real lesson there. But it also gives me a little bit of leeway in terms of where I don't drag my knuckles in the paintings. And that might actually be where I started doing it. But anyhow, this brush is so incredibly forgiving. I'm going over a couple of these lines again just to sharpen them back up, and it's doing so flawlessly. So like even that little tip right there, I didn't have to redo it. Because these brushes tend to give you a lot more leeway in terms of how they do things. Some of the other brushes, like some of the older ones, like the Mac 1010s, for example, if there's even a little tiny jitter in what you're doing, it shows in the paint. This brush, I'm a little more free to kind of just play with it. And I think the same holds true with the King 13. I mean, I hope it. I've never actually used the 5.0 for either of these before, so this is the first time for both of them. I've done the 7.0 for a while with the King 13, and I will tell you that took a long time for me to get used to. This brush, though, right out of the tube, I'm already just going for it. And it's really short adaptation time for me. I mean, the tip on it does have a little more sharpness, I think, than the 7.0 does. And then my 2.0, because the Alien DeathHawk 2.0 is my normal brush that I use. This tip's a bit sharper. So I am having a tendency to pull some much heavier lines with it. That's just a me thing, and that's just because it's the first time I'm using this thing. So, but I do like that it is consistent with the other brushes that I worked with. So the soft, fluffy hairs definitely makes a huge difference. Oh, I didn't like the way that one came out. I know, I'm surprising myself. Every now and then I actually like my work. Now, when I'm working down here, I am I'm trying to pull some very fine lines with this one. This is definitely not my thing. I'm terrible at doing fine line designs because I'm not comfortable doing it as much as I used to be. It's like those are kind of a lot thinner and a lot sharper and a lot pointier, and I'm just not, it's not my jam anymore. Okay. But this brush kind of gives me the confidence to do it again. A little bit. Not a lot of it, just a little bit. So basically, straight lines, curves, this thing is great. It lets me get whatever gauge I feel like without having to change from brush to brush. So I'm able to get thin lines and thick lines. The Dagmar thing that I have a tendency to do where I start with a thicker line and pull it to a thinner line, normally I reserve that for things that I do with scrolling brushes. But this is a striper that allows me to do that. Not quite as consistently as the scrolling brushes, but it does give me a lot more leeway to do it. So it's not quite as drastic, but I can still do it with this brush and not feel like I need to switch brushes, basically. So I think this will be the last line I pull with this one, and then we'll move over to the King 13. I'll use red for that thing because I would like for you to be able to see the difference in colors. Imagine that, contrasting. Now the King 13, right off the bat, this one flops. Like it folds over and the tip's kind of droopy. You can see it kind of arching downward before I pull it down. Let me just tell you that scares the hell out of me. Like it is the most off-putting feature of this brush when you first start with it. After a while, you just kind of get used to it. And it took me a while. It really did. Like it was just something that I kept feeling like my aim was off. It really challenged me to rethink how I wanted my designs to flow. But after, what is it? It's been almost like 6 months that I've been using the other one. Yeah, it's been about 6 months. I've gotten a lot more comfortable and used to it, so I'm a little bit more able to predict where it's going to drop and how it's going to flow. And I think see, this one's super floppy. I just loaded it back up with a lot of paint because I'm going to do a couple longer lines with it. Super floppy. But anyway, once I got used to it and once I've been accustomed to the way that works, it's not as annoying. Because it was probably like my least favorite thing about this brush. But once you adapt to that, it gives you a little bit more control in the accents of the tips of the lines. And what I mean by that is like these little ones where I flare out from the tip of a line. I don't know that I could have done that with another striping brush the way that this one does and as tightly. So normally what I would have done is pulled two parallel lines and then take a detail brush to put that little tip. With this brush, I'm able to just pull the tip. I don't have to load up a secondary brush and come back and try to remember where all of the little deficiencies are that I need to come and touch up. So when you're doing this live, it kind of saves quite a bit of time and a lot of the second guessing. I was going to try to do a little trick thing here, but I kind of had too much paint on the brush. So we're just going to schmooze that on both sides. There's still that. That is its own skill set, being able to make it look like it didn't mess up. I will say that I do that a lot less with this one. See that line right there that I pulled? That's one of those ones where I pulled into a very sharp tip. And that's something that really, I would do that primarily with a scrolling brush. I wouldn't even try that with a striper before I got these. So definitely a big fan of the way that that does that. I think with this one, I was able to I had a little more gap in that one. So I had playroom. And I'm going to tie this one up here. I'm just going to put a little accent line over here. And then I'm going to try to pull a full circle. I don't think I'm going to do it right because I mean, even this one seems a lot more stiff than the 7-0. But I'm going to try it. Let's see if we can do it. So got those done. Let's get this guy loaded. I'm going to stay. All right. You know what? Hold on. Let me finish up down here real quick because I'm going to forget about this and then I'm going to leave it and then I'm going to get annoyed by it later. So I'll clean this up first. So these little accenty lines too, I kind of like these because I'm able to get some really sharp points and get right in these little nooks right here. Huge fan of that. Because some of the other brushes that I've got, I wouldn't even attempt it. I would use a detail brush, honestly. Like, I think with the most of the pinstriping brushes that I use, a detail brush is probably how I would have attacked that. This brush, just enough flex that I can get right in there and do it. Of course, then I drag it a little extra, but, you know. Okay, back to that whole circle thing. Is I want to try it. I don't know that I've ever really attempted it with either of these brushes. And this one, just the way that tip dips and droops, I think I just might be able to do it. We're almost there. I promise. I'm leading to it. I know. I'm telling you about it. And we're like way over here on the other end of the panel doing whatever. I think I actually forgot while I was editing that this was here because obviously we're talking about me doing a circle and I'm nowhere near doing it. But anyway, that little tip right there. I like being able to clean up those edges. Okay, circle time. Ready? Let's go for it. So I'm going to go. I'm going to start over here. I'm going to do this one on the inside so I have kind of a guide where I'm going. All right, it rolls a little bit, but that's me. I didn't twist it enough. I'll give it a second shot. There we go. It's not a full circle, I know, because that was matching it, but let's see if I can do the opposite direction, and not quite, but that's okay. So not quite able to do scroll work with this one the way that I would do scrolling, but pretty close. So yeah, I think I'm going to stick around with these. I'm going to keep working with these 5-0s. I'll probably do a few more things with them, a couple more videos with them, and yeah, check the thing out.
All right, cupcakes. There it is. There's the thing. That's what happened. So, the Alien DeathHawk and the King 13. Which one do I like better? Really doesn't matter. The one that matters is which one you like better. Do you need something that turns a little bit tighter, or do you need something you pull a little bit straighter line with? They're both going to be great. They're both going to do the job. And they're both going to be amazing. So, till next time, stay moist, my friends.